Hi, my name's Laura Batante. This is My Two Bits, and today I have a fun Halloween craft for you. This is a Frankenstein made from a toilet paper roll. Okay, so materials for this craft. Obviously the toilet paper roll, and then I have some different colored papers. I have the lighter green that I used for his body, a little bit of the darker for some accents, the white for his eyes, and a little bit of black for his hair and his scar and his eyebrows. Now, you don't have to use paper. This one I painted, and then I used some paper, and then I also drew on it. So you could 100% do this craft with your kids and just let them paint it and put on whatever features you like. I like adding the detail of the hair up top just because it can cover any sort of imperfections that you have when you trim it, but you know, that's neither here nor there. For some kiddos, they don't care. Maybe they want to actually cut it all wonky, so that would be great. More on the materials. You need a rectangle of your base color, and that's 3 inches by 6 inches or 7.5 centimeters by 15 centimeters. And you also need, for the black for the hair, a 1/2 inch by 6 inches, which is 1.5 centimeters by 15 centimeters, and then just chop that with some fun edged scissors that you have. This is just pinking shears, but there's some others that have sort of fun designs. You could totally use that. Then for cutting purposes, I have my 5/8 inch circle, and I have a regular hole punch, and then I have my slightly smaller one. And those are my pinking shears. Those are for fabric only, don't tell anyone. My X-Acto knife and ruler, that was just to cut my shapes. Scissors. I have some double-sided tape. I always like to use a little backup double-sided tape in some instances. And then my handy-dandy glue stick. And then the straw. Now, this is a plastic one that's been hanging around in my studio forever. And this is a paper straw. They'll both work. This one is going to be a little trickier to get through this hole. You may have to just kind of give it a good shove or work around it a little bit more with this. Either or. But I have the plastic and it's a good color match, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And so that is all that you need for materials. So the first thing you're going to do is cut out your strip of paper, the 3 inches by 6 inches, and glue that on. And you see I've done that. And then I always use paper clips to just hold stuff in place while I'm waiting on it to dry. The next thing you're going to do, I was going to say hair, but you know, since the hole punch business is a little tricky, I'm going to suggest you do that in case there's a boo-boo, and then you don't have to start the entire project from the start. So for reference, I'm pushing it as far up as I can so that I can do the same on the other side, and I will get it in the same spot. Then I'm taking something small that will fit through here, and in this case I'm using a paintbrush, and just right there making a little mark so that I know where to hole punch when I get over to this side. And then again, make sure I push it all the way through, and then that should slide through no problem. All right, so for my Frankenstein face, either or, I went with just some simple shapes with some basic punches that I had to make it really easy. And I kind of like the fact that he's got a bit of a Muppet quality to him. So I'm using 2 of my 5/8 of an inch punched white in white, and then I'm going to give him some thought I had these all, but apparently no. Some eyeballs in black, and then for the eyelid, all I did was pop this on top of my green, gave myself a little outline, and then cut around that. And then I'll just, with my scissors, at whatever depth I want, give him a eyelid like so. So I think it's sort of makes it easier if you kind of lay out how you want it. Maybe you want the eyes all googly, maybe you want them cross-eyed. He's your Frankenstein, so you can do what you like. All right, so I have my eyes done, And for the scar and the eyebrows, I've just gone ahead and drawn on some black cardstock, and then I'm going to cut it out. Again, as I said, for the kids, it might be easier just to cut some little rectangles and then do them separately. And for the scar, just draw it on with a Sharpie. It works really well. Okay, so just a little tip before we start actually putting the face on. I've moved my 2 paper clips down to the bottom, and they are now holding my Frankenstein somewhat steady for me, so that's nice. All right, so there we are. I just finished off his face. I did end up going with like little rectangles for his eyebrows. I quite like those. And I cut out his little scar instead of drawing it on. But for kids, I really think that letting them paint stuff on and then giving them some googly eyes and some other bits and bobs will make for some really fun Frankensteins. So I hope you enjoyed this craft. I hope it inspires you to do something fun with the kids. And if you enjoyed the video, then please give it a like and consider following me on all of my social media.